So, hello and welcome everyone. Today we have with us one of the most dynamic leaders of Indian media industry, Mr. M. V. Shreyams Kumar, who is the managing director of Malayalam newspaper Mathrubhumi. He is also the president of the Indian Newspaper Society. And just this week, Mr. Kumar was re-elected as the Kerala president of Janata Dal. Congratulations and welcome, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you,
Pleasure
Kanchan.
to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
So let me begin by asking, between running a newspaper and a news channel and radio network, leading the INS Indian Newspaper Society, and actively steering a political party, right? How do you manage to balance it all?
Well, it all depends on how you manage your time and also how you treat each one separately. For example, when I come to my office, the politician in me doesn't work. When I go to my party meetings, I'm not a media person. So I clearly distinguish these two roles. I never allow my politics to reflect in our media at all. That's
Okay.
how I manage it.
Okay.
Mathrubhumi
So,
is an independent newspaper, so we cannot bring in any politics inside. So we report news as it is.
so Mathrubhumi has been a pillar of Malayalam journalism for more than a century now. As you lead the group in an era of digital disruption and political realignments and changing media consumptions, what does legacy mean to you today, and how do you balance tradition with transformation?
See, Mathrubhumi is a 102-year-old media company. It started to give impetus to the freedom movement in Malabar. And our motto is like truth, equality, and and freedom. So these are the three keywords we always keep in mind. See, as society always changes. This is very dynamic. So according to changing that, over the reason why we started a newspaper, it exists in a different way today. Challenges are different. As you said, it's a digital world, and we have to cope up with that. We have to cope up with the new generation and the coming generation. Their media consumption changes, the habit changes, the way they behave also changes. So we keep all this in our mind, but we keep our core values intact and adopt to the changes as and when required.
Okay. So as the print industry also faces, prolonged pricing pressures and shift in advertising priorities, basically in the post-COVID era. So what structural or policy level changes is INS advocating to ensure long-term revenue sustainability of the newspapers, especially for small and regional publishers?
You see, INS as a body speaks to the AAAs of I and try to tell them that do not put too much of pressure on rates. But it all depends on individual publications. Though it's an industry body, each one has got their own strategy, their own priority, their own way of looking at business. So INS has no major role, but to play in this. But what we are trying to do is that we are trying to tell people the relevance of print, the credibility of print. Though it is, you're reading the news the next day, but what you read is a very curated content. And we also urge the members to ensure that the credibility is not compromised at all under any circumstances. And that is the strength of newspaper. And that is what we are trying to do. As you said, post-COVID, there's a lot of pressure on circulation as well as in the advertisement. But then Kerala was not that badly affected. Though we have lost copies, everybody has lost copies, but we are stabilized now in Kerala. And of course, the ad market is a big challenge. But I see of late a lot of categories which kept away from print are coming back to print. I'm not going to name any client here, but I can say, like, for example, education. For a while, they moved to digital space altogether. Now they are back on newspaper. In fact, big format ads like jackets and power jackets and full pages and things like that. So a lot of such categories have started coming back to print, realizing that when they spend their money, they get the worth of they get the impact, or the money they spend is worth it. So we see that happen, but at the same time, some categories are moving out as well. For example, classifieds was a big category, but it's no more. So there are challenges and there are opportunities as well. And a lot of media houses have moved on to a lot of other activities as well. For example, events. We also do a lot of events, big events, small ones, medium-sized events. So we look at like how do we tap into the revenue opportunities, and we also look at as a media house the challenges of the clients and what is it we can do to help them to overcome their challenges to some extent. So each media house has got their own strategy for all this. INS plays a larger role in terms of advising the members, keep certain values and things like that. But we are also contemplating a campaign to tell the public that, as I said earlier, it's a credible medium, it's a very relevant medium, and the importance of print.
I think it is really great sign that some of the advertisers who have kind of stayed back from the print, they are now coming back. And you also mentioned about the events, see how newspapers are doing a lot of events to keep themselves sustainable, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have also seen the rise of AI-driven search, especially tools like generative AI, which are summarizing the content, and people are not clicking the news websites anymore. So how it has impacted the revenue of publishers in general and Mathrubhumi in particular?
See, it has not started impacting as of now. I'm sure AI is a reality, and we also are formulating a AI strategy on how do we deploy AI, where all we can deploy it, and also I don't think it has affected our click rates as of now. I do not know going forward how it is going to be, because anyway AI requires content and we are the content creators. It doesnn't create anything on its own. So it's the content which is created by people like us. They use it, content from various sources, or millions and millions of pages or billions of pages. That's what the AI uses to generate their state. So content is always relevant. Whether it's in any medium, content is relevant, right? Content of different kinds. For example, if you take social media, it's all content. Any medium is content. If you take WhatsApp, it's content, right? So the thing is that how do we reshape ourselves? As a media house, we are basically focused on news content. Now we have to move on from there. We have to really understand, especially in the digital world, what kind of content works, and we have to specialize ourselves in creating those content. We have different content we have magazines, health, travel, the children's. We also produce a lot of content, but that is not enough. We have to really understand the market, and we are doing some pilot projects on that. And content is what is required. So we'll not take an adamant stand that we only generate news. So we are in the business of creating content, and that's what we'll do going forward.
Yeah, very interesting perspective actually. But we have seen that how newspapers across the world, they are kind of negotiating with the big tech companies and AI companies to ensure their fair monetization. So does that mean INS is not engaging with any big tech, because you're saying it is not a problem at all?
No, not at all. I'm not saying. I'm talking about AI. See, big tech companies, when digital growth is there, phenomenal growth is there. But the majority of the money goes to 2 or 3 players. There's no fair sharing of revenue. We know all that. And INS is also fighting with CCI. We have raised the issue with CCI. I think DNPA also raised the issue with CCI. We're taking up with the minister. See, it is not very easy to resolve, because unless you have some kind of a law, like in Australia and some other countries where they have formulated some law. So I don't know how the Indian government is going to take up this matter, but this is a genuine concern for all publishers, because the kind of game they play from publisher to publisher, it's different. And
I think right. You rightly mentioned about Australia's news media bargaining code.
Yeah.
So is INS, have as an INS president, have you approached the government,
We have.
so
We
that
have.
they can also formulate such kind of, law?
We have taken up this issue multiple times. We also spoke to the concerned IRB minister. And well, in a country like India, it's not very easy to formulate law like Australia. But then, end of the day, I think the government has to take these things very seriously, because unless, what will happen is that the growth of monopoly is going to strengthen, and plurality in media industry is going to reduce. That is not good. A lot of money is going digital. And like if you look at the projection for next year by Madison, I think they project about 120,000 crore for digital and about 23,000 crore for print. It's about 16 to 17%. That's like a few years back that wasn't the case. Print had much higher percentage of the total ad spend. Now that has come down. So to ensure that the newspaper industry, or this large, medium, or small, they survive, the government had to intervene, because these people are taking away the large chunk of the ad spend, and it's a very unfair way of sharing. We do not know. There's no transparency. How much money, and when we speak to them, they say like it's only 2% of their total, or whatever percentage they say, if you like saying. But then we are trying to figure out a way to resolve this issue in some way or the other.
Right. So coming back to my previous question related to AI driven search, so I would also like to know, is INS kind of engaging with any AI company also, because a lot of the publication across the world, they are kind of doing some kind of arrangement with them, so that because their content is being used by AI platform, right?
Yeah, that's also part of what I said earlier, the big tech companies. And INS is discussing about the possibilities of AI playing a major role in news dissemination. So INS is discussing all these matters.
Okay, so you already mentioned about how Mathrubhumi is trying to do different kind of content and events, to increase the revenue. But it is also true that zero click days they are going to come. I have spoken to a lot of publishers who are trying to do different kind of things. What concrete steps are you taking to address the loss of traffic and visibility as Mathrubhumi managing director and also as an IRS president?
As of now, you don't see a drop in the click rates, but people say that mobile phones will vanish, the traditional television sets will vanish. They have been saying newspaper will vanish for many decades. Well, everything can survive if you're smart enough to understand what's going on in the market and reshape your strategy, and that's the way to go forward. What you say is right. The advent of AI, a lot of people would depend on AI for content. But again, as I said earlier, the content is created by us. So these challenges are there, and as we go forward, looking at what's happening or what is going to happen, we'll have to strategize ourselves as an organization. INS plays an advisory role.
Right. So, Mr. Kumar, there is also an issue of Indian Readership Survey, which has not been conducted after 2019, right? So, what are the sticking points which are delaying its full-scale release and adoption? And how does the delay impacting the regional newspapers versus leading English dailies?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer, because I'm not the technical committee of. So I think one of the reasons is that post-COVID, access is denied in most of the apartments. You look at the big cities, about 80-90% of the people live in apartments, right? I do not know the exact figures, but a large number of population, they do live in apartments, and access is not denied. So how are you going to conduct a survey, a one-to-one survey, when there's no access to people? That is one challenge. And I do not, there's no concrete answer for that question. So without, accessing people, talking to them directly, it is difficult. And also, more focus has to be given for print because it's mostly funded by print. So there are challenges. I don't think it is going to happen immediately. I think it may take some time, but we require a currency. ABC is one currency, and readership is another one that helps the advertiser to plan what to do, how to advertise, where to.
I think these surveys, they do not provide the profile of the readers, right?
IRS used to.
IRS, yes.
So that's where it is.
You mentioned about the access to apartments, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised with this perspective because e-commerce companies are growing because everyone is ordering, from home, and we used to see a lot of delivery boys coming to the apartments day and night. So I'm surprised with this perspective. But anyway,
I tell you the reason. It depends on the association, right? Now they think they want delivery by Swiggy or any other people. They allow that. Now, this is a survey. Why should they allow?
Yeah.
For example, the apartment I live in Cochin. When I go to Cochin, mostly they ask the guys to leave the parcel at the security guards, and they are the ones who comes and gives it. So it depends on the association. But by and large, access is denied.
Mm-hmm. So this is what MRUC board has discussed and kind of feeling it.
I don't know what they discussed. I'm just telling you this could be one of the reasons why there is a debate on that.
Okay. No worries. So now moving on to my next question. So despite headwinds, we have seen the print media industry continues to show the resilience. However, the growth is still below the COVID levels in terms of ad revenue. So what is the way out? We do not have any currency and ad revenue is growing, but it is still pre-COVID levels. What is the way out?
Well, it's not very easy to answer that question because, as I said, each media also will have their own strategy. See, when it comes to news, maintaining credibility is very important, especially in today's world. There's a lot of pressure on media industry from various corners. I don't want to elaborate on it, but everybody is aware of it. The role of media is to ensure that people know what they need to know. Now it is like people will know what others want people to know. So that is where the challenge is. So as a media organization, we ensure that we play that crucial role of reaching the right kind of news to our readers. Wherever whichever source is available. A lot of things are not available now. And keeping the credibility intact and also creating compelling content. We had to create our own, a different kind of stories. It's not just whatever has come on television or on digital. We cannot just reproduce it and say that, okay, print will go. No, we'll have to look at the content strategy. Apart from the news, the other, sections in the newspaper, you can make it very interesting and, to ensure that readers are engaged. And also we very closely interact with our readers. We have field staff going and collecting feedbacks, and we look at the feedback and see, what is required, what needs to be changed, what are the requirements or the expectations of the readers. So getting in constant touch with readers is very important. And also ensuring that we address the issues faced by them. There are a lot of issues. I'll tell you one example. In one district, one panchayat, there was no drinking water. So we did a campaign. And that campaign resulted in solving that problem. The government sanctioned 40 crore rupees to ensure that panchayat, that area, gets sufficient drinking water. Things like that, issues which affects people, we need to take it up. And consistent campaign. And it's not just writing the stories, it's understanding what the problem is and bringing it out. And ensure that the authorities will take note of it, and we also proactively interact with them and say that with this problem is there, how can you resolve it? A lot of such issues gets resolved, and that is the power of newspaper. You use other mediums, you will not get this impact.
Yeah, true. Very well said, sir. So now coming to my last question, giving rising concerns around media credibility and political pressures, perceived political pressures, what role can INS play in preserving the editorial independence while also supporting the business side of journalism, especially during elections and national crisis?
I think I answered it in different ways in the previous questions. See, INS is only can give only advice. It cannot formulate a strategy. As I told you, it's individual media house who decides on it. Yes, in today's political context, what you said is very relevant. As I mentioned earlier, there will be a lot of pressure on media houses, and especially during elections or no elections. So it is, it is for the individual organization to ensure that how do they survive? Because people buy the newspaper, right? So our obligation and our responsibility is primarily to them, not to the government. So the moment people realize that we are not doing that, they will turn away from us. So the only way to survive is that ensure that the expectations of a reader, and there's pressure from readers as well, like pressure from everywhere, especially after social media. I'm one of the most attacked person in Kerala, and like now people don't look at the whether the story is true or not. The story is not liked by me, I attack. Earlier that wasn't the case, and there is also an effort, what you call to discredit media journalists. That is also happening. That sometimes you find it in a very organized manner. And some media is also playing that kind of a game. Like when they, especially in television, when they sit for evening discussions, you see anchors taking sides. Everybody, most of the people have politics. I don't know whether you have politics or not, but you don't bring your politics on the table, right? So I see some channels doing it here, different anchors taking different political stands openly. One fellow will be pro LDF, one fellow will be pro Congress and pro BJP, and they're open about it. That really questions the credibility of journalists. See, these kind of wrong things, what you call a short-sighted approach by some media houses, especially people who have come into this field very late, and the new companies, they don't understand the integrity plays the most important role when it comes to journalism. So some of the media houses are actually playing an important role in discrediting the media itself. That is wrong. But who's going to tell them? They're getting the ratings, fine. They're okay with it. But they don't know what kind of long-term damages they're doing for this industry. As I said, I have politics, but my politics, Mathrubhumi has got nothing to do with my politics. The moment I start, using my media houses to, to enhance my political career, that's it. Why should people buy it? They pay for it, right? It's not free. They pay for it. So you have to respect them. Unless you respect your readers. And there's a role media has to play, like Mathrubhumi played a big role in the freedom movement, in social changes in the state, Kerala state board, like the development of Kerala. These are the important roles as a media house we have played, others also played. So we should continue to do that, do that duty. So our primary responsibility is towards our readers, not to any political party or any government.
Very interesting perspective, indeed. It was great talking to you, Mr. Kumar. Thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Insights. Thank you.